Hi, I'm Shane Gould, and this is Fueling Your Brand. Today we're going to talk about a particular trademark rule I always think of, and I guess what I want to talk mostly is purchasing an old trademark or pre-existing trademark instead of starting a new trademark. Now, there's a lot of great advantages to an older trademark. Pre-existing date, recognition for the brand name. There's common law of when you've started using this. The biggest advantages of that is just think of the time and money it takes to first search a new name, which could take, let's just say it takes a few weeks to find something, or maybe it takes months to find a name that's never been used before in commerce. Then to trademark it, then not to get opposed by someone else, then to put some marketing dollars or merch behind it, and to get that value up to where the value of that original trademark, that's maybe an older mark, you could save an enormous amount of time by purchasing something. So if you see a mark, let's just say like a Jimmy Z, an offshore, an older mark, a lot of times people will bring those back, and that's the reason, is the pre-existing date. You're not dealing with trademark infringements and not knowing. When you start a new brand and you come up with a new name, it's really hard these days to come up with something that's never been used in commerce before you. And I'm not saying you can't do it. There's a lot of unique names out there, but even back 20, 30 years ago, it was difficult to come up with a name. Now, with the internet search and what people do, it makes it very difficult to come up with something original, and then to go through the process of paying your attorneys, doing the searches, making sure you've got everything covered in all social medias. Not only that, but to gain recognition on a national or regional, national or international space is very difficult to do because there's so much noise out there already. So a lot of these older brands are coming back, and that's number one. Is you could probably pick up an old brand for a reasonable amount of money or pay a licensing fee. So a lot of these older brands, even like an O'Neill or Body Glovers, these older brands in the surf industry, they license them, and that protects you from all that other crap that you have to deal with when starting a new brand and a new name. There's nothing worse than you spending the amount of money and time and effort to create this name and think it's the best thing ever, and to get 6 months in or maybe even a year in and find out that you don't truly own that trademark. And that happens really a lot. I just saw it this weekend. I was in ISPO, Germany, and there's a gentleman there that they have the trademark in America, but they don't have it in Europe. And they didn't have first use of it, so they had to change their name for European market. So, you have to really, if you're starting a brand, you're starting a new name, you might want to start looking at some of these other things, alternatives. I'm not saying that you can't come up with one, but if you want to fast track that, have trademark protection, and that's really the most important part of this. It's a lot, the entry of getting into business might be a little easier. It's almost like franchising, where if you buy a Subway or your McDonald's, you don't have to worry about all the issues of the name and the trademarks. And I'm not saying it's the exact same, but the idea is there. So not to say go pick up an old brand and it's not going to be cheap, but let's just say you're starting a new brand and you're trying to get the recognition of, let's say, Body Glove, or let's just use something that maybe everybody would know, an O'Neill or whatever it may be. The amount of money and time you're going to spend is enormous to get any of that recognition. And not saying you can't do it, but like I said, a lot of times you don't know this until you've actually got into it. and sometimes you've already invested quite a bit of money or time, and that right there is a real hardship if you don't have the mark and you have to start over, or you have a cease and desist on a product that you've got a barn full of. Those are pitfalls you're going to come up with, and I'm not saying you can't. Excuse me. But these are just things you have to think about when you're doing this. So it might be, it might seem a little odd, or might seem like you're not as original when you do it this way. But sometimes when you want to get into the business, there are shortcuts, and by means, and I say this a lot. I mean, I started a brand in 1992, and not until 1996 they stopped common words. So I actually had the trademark before they stopped using or accepting trademarks such as floor, ceiling, pizza, New York, whatever it may be, common words. So that, in a nutshell, was a success for us. Now, to come up with a 4-letter or short-lettered term or trademark is very, very difficult. So at the end of the day, the worthiness or the amount of money that we can charge for something like that is much greater because of all the time and history. And this is another another thing to think about when you're starting your business. So, and when you start to fuel your brand or come up with your brand name, really do the research, and don't get yourself in a position where you've invested enormous amounts of time and energy and didn't do your due diligence and really make sure the trademark is clean and clear. So, it's history and brand awareness goes a long way when you start thinking about brand names. And I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm just giving you, like I said, this is just to try to help you navigate these situations so you don't end up on the wrong side of it or a losing side of trademark when you get that cease and desist letter and find out that you truly don't own it. So this is just another tidbit from me, and wish you the best. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'm more than happy to help out and try to navigate some of these issues that we all start or have when we start a business. So anyways, appreciate your time and energy and your love and checking out my videos. Thank you.